All right. I think we're set up and ready to go. So, let's get things started. First off, welcome to my channel. This is Flight Sim for All. You guys can call me Steve if you want. Just, don't call me late for some flying, I guess. The bad jokes aside, um, I'd like to take an opportunity to make a video about our lovely Fokker F28. It's definitely one of the less appreciated aircrafts I've noticed in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it's a shame because it's got a ton of fidelity, and as much as I hate this word, you could argue that it's study level. Not that there's too many F-28s still flying around in the sky, but this one right here is still flying in real life. It's currently for sale. One thing interesting about the F-28, this tail number is November 500 Whiskey November, and it is actually converted to a private jet. So I'm not sure if that's reflected in the cab of this one, but it is a Fokker F28. It is the 1000 variant, the smallest of all the variants. This one did not have any additional range like the real life one does, so let's get inside and check it out. I'm also going to take an opportunity to go over the one-off bespoke, whatever you want to call it, UNS1 flight management system in here. Now, the UNS1 stands, it was the universal something. There was an acronym for the UNS, but the U is what's most important. This FMS was found in thousands of types over the years, from small GA planes up to airliners that were built before the age of the Magenta, when we were still using ground-based navigation. It had the ability to provide control logic that was that could be customized, not necessarily customized, but it could be fed into a field programmable gate array, or FPGA, and the inputs could then be controlled by the, or it could take over the autopilot to some extent. It does have limited functionality compared to some of the stuff in Airbus. I'm definitely spoiled by Airbus. For those of you that don't know, I am type rated and a pilot on the A320-200. We're not going to be focusing too much on the formalities or the technicality of flying. We're going to just mainly focus on getting this thing started and going. Before we get moving, I'm just going to go take a quick sip of water. Take 2 seconds. I'm going to grab that. This is a live stream for now, but if this really takes off, I'm going to definitely focus more on editing videos and doing stuff like that. So I'm just gonna grab my water real quick. All right, I was gonna sit here and tell you guys a little bit more history about the Fokker, but I think maybe we should just jump to it now, and we'll go ahead and hop inside. This is the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 version. I purchased this aircraft directly from Justflight. If you're on PC, I recommend you go that route. It's a better support for the developers, and you get your updates sooner. But let's see what this private jet converted Fokker is all about. I'm very interested to see. No, it looks like it's got a regular cabin inside. I'm not sure, but let's go ahead and hop in. So, as you can see, it takes a moment to sign in for its anti-piracy measures, and it does look like it is a full regular economy style layout. So, oh well, you win some, you lose some, right? Anyway, so we'll go over the instrument clusters real quick. As you can see, this is a steam gauge in its truest form. Can you see my mouse good? Alright, so from left to right, we do have an angle of attack indicator here. We have our airspeed. our direction finder, our HSI and artificial horizon. This is essentially our GPWS, or ground proximity warning system. This aircraft did have a GPWS from the start. It was very primitive back then, and it received some updates over the years, and it did, come up to snuff with the likes of, BAE and Boeing and McDonnell Douglas at the time. Airbus was not around at this time. Then we have, altitude. This is your clock for your holds and stuff like that. I believe it's wound up already, but it does need to be wound. Over here is our TCAS system. We're going to get rid of that because, we want to do old school. So there we go. We got that old school just climb indicator. Over here is our engine controls. These are the 1.5 Papa engines from Rolls Royce. I can't remember. No, Pratt and Whitney. I can't remember who makes these, but they are a turbojet engine, I believe. Then moving more to the right, we have our landing gear. This is the fuel computer down here, weather radar. And then you have like your hydraulic pressure and stuff like that. When we go through our startup flow, we'll work together on this. And then there are, your controls for your brightness and all that. And let's move to the overhead panel, or let's move to the glare shield first. These are our autopilot functions. We have now these are holds up here. This is going to hold you, say if you're at 5 degrees of left bank and you trigger the autopilot, it'll continue to hold that bank indefinitely. So I'm going to reorganize this. Let's start with the autopilot system because it's a little bit unfamiliar. So you have your holds across the top, and then you have your altitude adjustments and ILS system here. This will be done by pitch. This is basically altitude hold, indicated airspeed hold. That'll allow you to increase or decrease altitude based off engine power alone, to make it simple. And then this is the glide slope button. This will be used for our ILS. This is the flight director system here. When we give power to the aircraft, so we'll go ahead and let's run external power so we don't kill the battery. You should hear it kick to life here in a second. The flight director is very important in this because it's not going to trigger right now because we don't have a vacuum power from the engine. But this flight director is not connected to the autopilot. It is simply advisory. You will find yourself in some situations with this aircraft that the flight director looks like it wants to bank left or right or something like that. When you trigger the autopilot, it continues to go straight. So do not use the flight director in this aircraft as a window into what the autopilot is thinking, as it may steer you wrong in some situations. And that is not a glitch with the aircraft. It is accurate to the aircraft. I was on a MD-82 for a little while when I was doing humanitarian stuff in Africa, and it had a very similar flight director system. And it was a little bit of a learning curve. I didn't get to stay with them for very long, but it was cool to fly something that old. It's the oldest thing I have ever flown to this date. The other half of the autopilot system is down here. This, while it's engaged, will allow you to roll left or right. This will be pitch up and pitch down. These are the servo disconnects for roll and pitch. If there's failures and stuff, which we'll get down later on, you can turn these off. This is the autopilot master and yaw damper. You can see our ADF and HF are out of focus, and then this is also loosely. This is the FMS right here, and we'll go into this a little more in depth in a moment. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our lights, and we'll go over the overhead panel here in a moment, but I'm just going to go ahead and get most of them started now. It is very important that you remember the lights in this aircraft if you want the callouts, because if your beacon light is not on, there's callouts that you'll hear in a little bit, telling people to sit down and just immersion stuff. But if you want them to work, make sure your lights are configured properly. All right, so moving to the top, we got a little bit of lag right now. Go ahead and trigger the emergency light. I like to go ahead and get my fuel out of the way now at this point. We'll just give it as much fuel as possible. One cool thing here is that you can simulate the loading and unloading of your passengers without GSX. And it is not as in-depth as GSX is, but it's a nice compromise nonetheless. We're going to just do instant for everything.
Boarding is complete.
And you can see there's our callouts. Boarding is complete. So with any good aircraft, we are going to start with the APU. So our ground power is on. We're going to go ahead and start the battery. And we also want to make sure that our fuel pumps are on. You want the 2 outer fuel. You can do them all now if you want. It doesn't matter. But you would need one of these on normally for the APU to start. I think it'll start without it. So we'll come up here to the APU. We're going to turn the main switch on and the air on. And this button right here that says start is going to be how we get the APU started. And the official procedure is to leave this generator interrupt open until it comes to speed, which, we'll go ahead and do that. While that's coming up, we're going to turn on our radios. And this turns on all your instruments, and it also provides power to the FMS that needs to be turned on with this button at the bottom of the first row right here. So back to the top again. So we just turned on our APU not that long ago. We can see it is up to speed but not up to temperature. But we can go ahead and engage that. And we turn on one of the packs so that way we can start cooling it down, right? So we already did our lights. I won't go over the specifics of what these should read before you start because it won't affect it from starting, but if you want to follow it by the book, I would highly recommend checking out the manual there. It's quite I think it's like a 457-page manual that comes with this aircraft. I don't know how Justflight does it. They do this with all their aircraft, and their aircraft are incredible. That's why I'm making this video, because I seen some videos that were around the 2020 era, but there's been a few updates to this plane, and it's still very much actively in development and continuing to receive support for years to come. It's also a little bit cheaper than some of their other offerings. Not quite as cheap as the Vulcan, but this can be picked up for I think $45 US. It cost me 38 Cayman Island dollars, so I think that's about $45 US, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll get our packs on. These have an auto cutout for when we start the engines. We're not there quite yet. We'll go ahead and arm the screen and the automatic engine heat should we need it, and these will stay off until we're ready to move. In real life, the pitot system on this aircraft would burn out the probes if you turned it on. You can turn them on now, and it will throw a failure on the right side probe, but it still functions for whatever reason. So that's about it. We're almost ready to start the aircraft. So starting the aircraft is really easy. We're going to come up here to the engine start master. We'll turn this on. We don't have to worry about the ignition just yet, as we're not ready to take off. But you'll see here there's a switch for 1 and 2. We can do an Airbus and Boeing style and start engine 2 first. This will cause the packs to cut out. This is a little bit different than what you might see on your Airbus or your Boeing airliners. We have a completely different set of readouts here, and what we're waiting is for the turbine, the inner turbine fan to come up to about 20. You can start it at roughly 18%. It should stabilize at around 23.3%. We'll come down here and move this one right engine to just the start position right here. So, even if you go too far, it's not the end of the world. And that light will blink, showing the ignition. And listen to that. We're up and we're cooking with Crisco now. Okay, so when these engines finally come to life, the generators are already engaged but can be tripped up here on the eyebrow, on the overhead panel. First column, so the left column all the way at the top, they can be shut off. You'll see that the gauges and everything works. And that's the beauty of this plane, is literally everything, all the systems are modeled, and and this isn't just some simple if-then logic on these gauges. These gauges will change based off of how loaded you have the aircraft. It's quite remarkable to have older aircraft with this in-depth of simulation. So to start engine number 1, we're going to repeat the same thing again. I'll come over here, come to engine 1, packs shut off, and we wait for it to come up to speed. It should stabilize at around 23, but it can be fired at 19, and we'll move that forward 1 notch. I clicked this down earlier by accident so you can see this is the gust lock. This will stop you from building any power and using your flight controls. It needs to be in the down position before anything works. Another step we skipped was turning these electrical pumps on for ground service for hydraulics, but it's irrelevant. We're focusing on just getting her going, and at this point I usually fire up my weather radar, and we had our engine spinning for a while, so we'll move it to start, and we have a good start on 1. Hopefully it stabilizes. And then now we can move over to our FMS. So we'll do shift plus, I think it's 9 if I remember correctly. And we'll get started. So this is the UNS1 FMS system. I believe it still exists in a modern capacity today under the Honeywell GTS 1.4. I don't know. It's made by Honeywell now, and it may have always been made by Honeywell. But when you power these switches up here, a lot of people get tripped up here because this is not only for your radios. This is for this is your avionics master, essentially. You got to keep in mind that the UNS is a drop-in FMS that is supposed to be universal for any aircraft. There are some instances where the UNS has no control over the autopilot at all, although that is very rare. And this is only capable of lateral guidance, which I mean it can turn you left and right. It cannot go up and down. There is no automatic VNAV in this. This is old school, baby. You're going to be calculating your top of descent, or you could do, the 10 minutes per every mile, or I don't remember the other way that people do it, but I can go through a proper top of descent calculation in another video if actual flight rules and strategy and whatever you want to call it is important. So to get started here, we're going to click the flight plan button, and we're at St. Petersburg International Airport, Florida. I picked this airport just because it's the last place I flew into before I took a break from work and returned home for a little while. So we're at K. This is a route I used to fly with a charter company too a while ago. So I know that doesn't look very visible because I have the stream in 1080p, but that says KPIE. This is going to be where your airport code goes. Your departure airport. We should probably fix this so that way we can get some information. And we're going to do MYGF. We're going to the Bahamas. Departure is going to be 18 left. So we'll be headed south. The departure is going to be... Yeah. Alright. Enter. Confirm. Back. And then now we're going to... This is a very simple flight plan. And I'm going to show you why I love this FMS so much. Because you can get 99% of the airliner experience without the airliner prep in this aircraft. So we're going to do KPIE, and then MYGF as our destination. Alright. And if you wanted to put an alternate in here, let me just get that MYGF, enter, accept. Let's put an alternate in here too. We'll do MYGM. I don't know if I can actually fit there, but we have to do this first. So you could do all three at once. You could do departure, destination, alternate, but it'll make it a little harder. So we'll start with just the departure and just the arrival airport. So you're going to come down here to menu, and this is where you can pick your SIDS and stars and your departure runway. We're going to go depart. We're on runway 18, so that'll be option 2. You'll do this number here, not this number here. Option 2 is the runway 18. You'll hit enter. And we were doing, what did we want? Can we do, they may be not synchronized. So we'll do Pi 9 just because I'm familiar with it. So we'll do the Pi 9 departure, and then it'll ask you if the star or SID has different transition points. It would ask you along here, like 01 would be Bilfridge and Goats and all the other Bay Area ones. The transitions for like the Dades 1 arrival into Tampa, for example. Anyway, so we go to flight plan, and then now we have some waypoints, and then this, wherever it says vectors, that's the same thing as a flight plan discontinuity. You can delete this and it'll keep tracking, but yeah, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep it the way it's supposed to be. So let's pick an arrival. I'm using this here just to make sure I'm covering all my bases. This is the built-in tablet with Microsoft Flight Simulator. They want runway 6. Let me make sure that weather actually has. Okay. All right. Well, I guess whatever, right? So we'll do runway 6. So we got menu, arrival. And it's going to be runway 6, 01, and then it may ask us. Oh, whoops. Back 01. Enter. There are no star. So then we'll come down here to the approach. We're going to do ILS for 6, just to keep it simple and easy. Alright, so now we are up and running and good to go. We have our lights turned on already, and once again, all the lights are right here. This is your red dome light for the cockpit. If it's dark, storm light and wing lights here. And then we have... we'll set our cabin. Now this is a very rudimentary pressurization system. This is the flight altitude here. Now the Fokker is a regional jet, and it's an old jet. It's typically in cruise for 45 minutes to 2 hours tops, and it generally very short flights with these. It would be routes that were commonly serviced by ATRs and CRJs today. Maybe not quite as long as some of the CRJ routes, but there were some long Fokker. Brathens in Sweden operated the 4000 almost in like a proper intercontinental jet with multiple stops along the way. But you know, I guess that's what they needed to get started. So our cruise altitude, the service ceiling in this jet is 35,000 feet. But you'll see it has absolutely no performance up there. So we'll get up in the cruise at 24,000 feet. We'll get our lights on just in case there's storms. I didn't really do a good job looking at the weather before this. So they basically, wherever you see one of these knobs, that's our lights. Boom, 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 and boom. Now there is also the white lights here. They are very bright. You can't really see them during the day, but there we go. And we are... Alright, cool. My pedals work. And let me make sure, which joystick do I have plugged in? Oh, cool. I'm using a proper force feedback yoke here, but, you know, the joysticks work just fine. And I personally think it's less awkward to fly this style of aircraft with a joystick versus like an Airbus with a yoke. I find that very disorienting. Anyway, we're ready to go to get moving. Now these need to be moved into the run position, and that will allow us to use all our power. Now, this is a very rudimentary autopilot system right here. We have VS mode, and then up here we have IAS. Long story short, you know, this can capture and do pre-select and stuff like that. It can just alert you, and then it will do altitude hold, although the altitude hold is directly linked to the trim system and the gyro that controls pitch, or a gyro controls the pitch, so it can get a little wobbly with insufficient airspeed at you know, it'll kind of oscillate up and down, up and down, up and down. So keep that in mind. This autopilot is very simple, but it gets the job done. So it looks like we're going to runway 18. Which way am I facing from here? I think I'm facing... Oh, okay. We can just come out and go here. So we'll go ahead and do a pushback. We're going to turn off the ground power. And we're going to turn off the shocks. And we are going to get the pushback started, connect, get rid of our emergency brakes. And here we go. We just got to get turned around, really. It might be raining right now. Alright. I've been doing a lot of Phoenix lately, so the controls feel very heavy, like I'm having a hydraulic failure or something in the Phoenix. So typical cruise speed for something like this is going to be around 270, or like, I think at 22,000 feet that'd be what, like 0.6 Mach. It's not very fast, but it's also old. And the 4,000 variant that holds a whopping 117 passengers. Oh man, is it a real dog. Oh, we forgot to set trim, didn't we? I know that we need to do like, I think it's like 0.7 units. So this is neutral right here, this circle. You can do the math and figure out the proper trim reading. But generally 1 notch before for, you know, any runway that's 5,000 feet or longer. That's one thing that this thing is very good at, is getting off the ground. And we need to... Over here, there's an interactive chart. We're going to be doing a flaps. Let's do a flaps 11 just because it looks cool. And that will automatically set your bugs, but there is information in the manual on how to achieve this information manually without this auto chart. But for, you know, 99% of flights, what I like about this aircraft is you can just get in and go. There's no IRS to align or any of that modern nonsense. And we still have GPWS, so you can bring something like this into Paro, and it's a lot of fun. So wow, how long are we in? So we're finally taking off, and don't worry, I'm going to use time acceleration once we get a little past 10,000 feet. We'll be ready to go. It looks like we're going to be doing VOR. This is for the flight director. Make sure altitude is turned off first. Now you can see I'm controlling this pitch of this right here with this knob. So for takeoff, you can for passenger, and I'm doing air quotes, for passenger comfort, we'll try to keep it under 12 degrees, never exceeding 20. So we'll do 12, so that way we can get up, off the ground quickly. Now this will need to be adjusted if you want to use your flight director to direct your flights. And this is the mode, so you can have glide slope auto, glide slope manual, heading. I'm not sure what SC means. I should probably look that up. I've never used that mode. Is it just SC? Let's see. Yeah, SC. Computer. Interesting. Alright, cool. The sounds are fantastic. And then at this point, I'm usually doing I usually have a checklist I'm working off of. We'll turn on our pitot and come up here, turn off our APU, and make sure that our speed brakes, or I'm sorry, our spoilers are armed. This does have a separate speed brake to it. And we're going to just go ahead and do what's, I guess, the equivalent of a toga takeoff. You want to have your percentages, if you want to do it by the books. I think it would be your really absolute maximum takeoff will be around like 97%, 100%. You can go a little past 100 for a short time. And then also down here, I don't know if you can see that. I'll show you when we get up there. This is the temperature, or the turbine temperature control. There's a climb mode and a cruise mode. It'll stop you from overheating your turbines for the most part, but it can get overwhelmed. There's our announcement. Give a minute to sit down, spool them up 50, and yeah, let's give it some power.
Cabin is secured for departure.
All right, so are we.
Power set.
Here we go. Oh man, I gotta change the sensitivity on my rudder pedals. What's going on here?
Rotate.
Yeah, it's like hard to keep it on there. I'm making a video. You would be so kind. Thank you.
Positive climb. Gear up.
Yeah, I'll show you why it pulls to the left like this. So, anyway, I was totally not looking at the screen. I apologize. Wow, we were about to go into the ground. I come off engine power a little bit, just a little bit, keep it under 100%. We're gonna get off the ground here. And you'll see that our lift dumpers, aka spoilers, have now disarmed themselves, and we're ready to go flaps up already.
Set climb power.
And climb power, you set yourself, but that's where you would move this from takeoff to climb. And we're about ready to go. And we're headed south right now, but we're doing vectors now. Let's head south. Let's get a little bit higher off the ground. We should be good to go. Alright, my hands are off the controls right now. I'll tell you what, ray tracing is definitely a nice little add-on for this. I don't know why the frame times are all jacked up, but... Alright, so we're gonna do direct, DTO, and we're gonna go 0-4. Alright, let's cruise. We got 200 miles to go, not very far. And we are going to arm our altitude, 10,000 feet. Transitions 18,000 feet in the United States, and that's going to be about where we're hanging out. Now, this plane is very composed. It's like a business jet, if you will. But yeah, I mean, wow. The graphics are incredible. Hello. That startled me. Look at that. St. Petersburg, Florida. I live in the Cayman Islands, but my children live north over here, just a little bit north of Tampa, and right now my wife is with me, so say hello to them. And they, you know, I know this is supposed to be a tutorial, but a little bit about me. I am a pilot by trade, and I also have 50% ownership in a aircraft maintenance company that services the Caribbean. You know, lots of twin otters we wrench on, and I've been more of a silent partner lately, but yeah, that's aviation's been in the family for a long time. And now, one thing I like to do, definitely going to turn this down, is I really like to gain some airspeed once I get a little above 5,000 feet, and the flight model is very good on this. And you'll see, right as soon as we get to around 250 knots, we start building way more lift. So, because I think the official climb speed of this is like supposed to be ideally 220 or 200, and a lot of people are like, I can't maintain it, and I find in the simulator, and I don't know if this is true to the real aircraft or not, but you know, I find that if I just build a little more airspeed, it definitely helps out a lot. And just on a side note, guys, I do apologize for how crude some of these videos are, and you know, the equipment I'm using is interesting at best. I do have a Brunner force feedback yoke, but I have custom-made rudder pedals that a buddy made for me. Now, the pedals themselves are incredible, but it feeds controls to a Logitech HOTAS setup, and those controls have been implemented for I'll show you my control bindings one time. I'll do a video about it, because it's a little ridiculous. And if you have any recommendations for some, like, you know, something I could buy at the store and have support for it, because yeah, I do have, but sometimes I have like weird issues that are a little more prevalent in 24 than anything else. In 2020, it wasn't so much of an issue. And I'm so spoiled by Airbus auto trimming that I keep forgetting to trim. Take some of that out for passenger comfort. And now this thing is not a speed demon. It'll happily do, you know, 2,000 feet per minute climbs, no problem. And especially as you go higher in the altitudes, it being a turbo jet versus a turbo fan, if I remember correctly, there's something about being higher up that yields slightly more power. And we're at 10,000 feet. We'll go ahead and engage the autopilot, which is, oh, we didn't put our yaw damper on. New rudder trim, take that out. We're good to go. So now beam will trigger it to start following whatever beam. Now a little bit further in depth with the autopilot system. Over here will be, let's get rid of these. Altitude pre-select is on. Let's go to 7,500. I forgot that, both of these need to be on for it to capture the altitude. There we go. Now we got to pull some power out of it, because it does accelerate kind of fast once we're up to altitude. Back to the autopilot. So this will allow you to switch between VORs and your FMS. Also, over here, if for whatever reason you don't want to use the FMS, there is, I'm not going to click it, but where is it at? Oh, GPS moved down here. You can use a GNS430, and I believe it replaces the weather radar. They may have moved it down here now. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to check it out. I just don't want to ruin my flight plan right now. So we will mess with the vertical. So this will switch between VORs. ADFs, they can be tuned here manually, or they can be also tuned in the tune page, and if you're in Microsoft Flight Simulator 24, you can always just select a ground-based navigation aid. Let's go to the CF. There it is. I know there's an NDB here, and you can always set it this way too, and it should hopefully show up. Yep, and you can also pre-select, like, I think 5 different ones to have them set up. So, that covers that. So let's see. Let's make sure we do our above 10,000 checklist. We can go ahead and turn on the landing lights. I know it's not that serious, but I like to make sure we're pressurizing, we're climbing. We're climbing a little bit faster than that. Put around 400 so everybody's ears pop in the cabin. And yeah, I think let's make sure that the pressurization, this is all good too. These are your packs. These are responsible for also pressurizing the cabin. Temperature can be adjusted, and you can see it will affect cabin temperature. I'll make that one hot, that one cold, and you'll see that they do warm up. Anyway, vertical speed time. So you can pre-select it, like we can shoot straight to 1,000 if you felt so inclined. We're about to overspeed because I'm talking too much. But yeah. Now you can see it does struggle in the beginning to maintain a certain speed, but it's just because it's getting the input controls from the gyro. Oh, look at that! We finally got TGT warnings. Now, when they do introduce failures to this aircraft, it's gonna make it interesting, because there's really no, this is a form of engine management, but you can still cook them. Don't get me wrong. There's no FADEC, and a FADEC is basically what allows you to firewall a Boeing or a Airbus or really any commercial aircraft nowadays, including some piston ones. You can run them at full throttle, and they'll never ever have the issues of running with wide open throttle alone. I'm sure it still does put more stress and stuff on the engine, but the FADEC actually, when you have an aircraft with a FADEC, the computer is basically negotiating with you to achieve the speed. There's a computer in between you and the throttle controls. This is just the linkage all the way back to a fuel distributor on each engine, so that's why it's doubled up like this. You see, it looks funny like that. Going over a little more. Once I'm climbing, then I turn on the center tanks, because what'll happen? You can run these from the beginning. I may be getting aircrafts confused here now, but if I remember correctly, these two aren't supposed to be on for takeoff. Let's see. Interesting. Okay, so that's for the cross-feed procedures. That's when you start getting low on fuel. There's a collection tank indicator here, so this is not relevant to the sim, but you'll start seeing this fill up as the collection tanks fill up, which drain into these tanks, and then it can be pumped. These tanks, they don't connect directly to the engine; they pump into these tanks. This tank, I'm sorry, I'm incorrect. I'm getting confused with the other Fokker, the turboprop Fokker. On this one, that's why I said you don't have to worry about this, but I'll explain it real quick. So, if you know anything about diesel trucks or anything like that, like old school diesel systems, they have a return line, and so do gasoline engines for that matter. The fuel distributor on the Fokker F28 is a Bosch. It's made by Bosch, which, if you're a car person, you're probably familiar with that. But the fuel system, it has, when it runs at such a high pressure, whatever the engine doesn't use comes back to the collection tank. The collection tank will fill up, and you turn on the crossfeed to get it to pump into the main wing tanks here. So these are the wing tanks. These two are wing tanks. Wing tanks, belly tank. And yeah, so we're just in cruise for now. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the time acceleration, and we can get moving. I'm interested. I'm gonna pause it real quick just because I keep seeing it stutter. I want to see what I'm on the beta right now. Or I'm sorry, no, I just came off of the beta, and I have had a little lag spike pop up ever since leaving the beta. Oh, it didn't have a door. That's funny. Debug. So yeah, I mean, it's 70 FPS. Sometimes it's better to just turn this off, right? I did a live stream not that long ago, and we were talking about, it started out how to get the best performance from your simulator turned into just a chill session, so it got me worried about that stuff again. Remember to turn the FPS counter off and just enjoy the game. I wonder what kind of weather we're going to come into. So I know we need to start getting ready, because it's going to be a short flight. We really need to... So we need to get our VORs tuned appropriately. I'm not sure if that is the right frequency, so let's double check that real quick. Okay. UNS6. We're gonna come straight in. I mean, we can fly the arc if you want. 68 degrees. It's Flight Simulator. It's not too important if we do it the right way or not. But we'll see. What's the DME? It was probably on that chart, wasn't it? Let's go back to the chart. What is the DME? These charts are different than regular charts. Isn't there a DME? There's gotta be DME here. Isn't DME required for this approach? I could have swore DME is... Am I crazy? Yeah, there is a VOR here. Oh, right here. 113.2. I don't know why the Microsoft built-in charts, they're different, but they're intuitive nonetheless. Oh wow, performance got really bad there for a second. Yeah, something has been going on with the game. check this real quick, and then we'll do a full flight and landing coming up soon. It could just be because the time acceleration is on, but usually I don't have trouble with that. But ever since I came back from the beta, it's been a problem. So we'll leave that open for a minute and see if something weird pops off. Yeah, so we are very close. We do need to start getting down already. We'll go ahead and descend to about 12,000. Should be doing 12,000 right over Miami. Jesus, I forgot how sharp that is. We might need to do a little holdy hold. Okay, so when you go below 50% throttle, you hear this annoying horn. It's right here. Shut it off. I don't mean to be so, this, it's that. I just panicked with how far away we are. And the reason why, I mean, it's not relevant for Flight Simulator, but the reason why it's it beeps at that at just 50% is because when you go below 50%, you may not have enough bleed pressure left over to run the packs, or you may not have enough bleed pressure to run the packs or your anti-ice if you need it. So I'm really cheating right now. We should not be descending at 4,000 feet per minute, but we are. I'm gonna just enter to just. Okay, here we go. I know what to do. We'll recover this lesson. So we'll just demonstrate a little bit more of the autopilot system. So if I hit pitch, for example, it'll hold the pitch, and this will hold the roll indefinitely. So we'll put ourselves in a little descending hold with this. And you see if we hit height, it still holds the pitch. And we can just sit here and go into a circle forever, or we can straighten around with this. Gotta give her some power. We'll get down to about 5,000 feet, and then we can maintain our heading. That right here, it's a sign. So we're still in pitch hold right now. That's so annoying. Yeah, I'm just trying to get down that altitude in time. Whoops, we don't want flaps. I hit that with my arm by accident. We want... Let's do some vertical speed since it doesn't want to play right. So yeah, we're really doing a piss poor descent here. But this is a lesson in the end of the day, and I'm trying to do it in the way of a complete flight while not making the video 3.5 hours long. So this is kind of where we're at right now. And then we can come back on the beam. Alright, let's go. So there are 2 flight controls that I have not talked about yet, or I'm sorry, one. That one is the spoilers. These will be armed on approach like that. If you ever go full toga, they will pop back up again. And these are the speed brakes. Not to be confused with the spoilers. when we engage the speed brakes, we are not spoiling. We are actually doing something in the back of this aircraft with a complete stop. It opens up to slow it down, and then that closes it back up again. And it is immensely powerful. Here we go again. We're going a little bit too slow, but that's okay. Alright, so we're getting close to final. I guess it was just the time acceleration messing up. I didn't have that problem before the update. Then I went to Sim Update 2, and it was fine, but I couldn't fly the Avro RJ. It was kind of, something was broken on it. The throttle wouldn't respond. It would go like full toga or completely gone, like it was on a switch versus an axis. And the doors were missing too. Like it didn't say the doors were open, but they were just missing. And I've been trying to get around to making more of these videos, and so I don't want to have broken aircraft. And Sim Update 1 is what the majority of people are probably going to be playing on. Just because, you have Xbox, which it can join the beta, but, people on the Xbox are usually, they prefer stability over cutting edge. So I don't know how the new update's performing on Xbox. And, the majority of PC gamers don't care about the tiny little feature that is halfway broken that is coming to the next update, and they can just wait for the next update. So you find a lot less people on the beta, and it's a beta. It comes with all sorts of surprises, which are counterintuitive for a live stream. So we're overspeeding, which is lovely. We have this powerful air brake. If you watch, it slows us down immensely. Oh wow, there we go. See, look at how quick it's slowing us down. Now that's the air brake in right there. Oh, we're close. Alright, we might have to take over the controls here in a second and fly the arc. We do have the beam in sight. I do not see the runway yet. Is that it right there? Oh, yeah. We're gonna go manual mode now.
2500.
Oh, we're still speeding along, aren't we? I was like, that is running way too fast for me. So what we're gonna do now is, we need 68 degrees, so we'll go ahead and tune in 68 degrees. Oh, what do I do? Not 168, 68. Now, we're going to go ahead and trim up. And I completely forgot we were supposed to fly the arc. So instead we're going to just do a little hand flying to the airport. Yeah, so I mean, this airplane, I would say it is definitely not the aircraft for somebody who just hops in and punches the autopilot. Um, it's not fun to do that in the first place. I mean, maybe not as much for me because that's my job. Because I don't get to do as much manual flying as I'd like to. So the simulator is for me is an opportunity to mess up descents, and I do kind of use the sim as like a Google Maps or a MapQuest, because it is so similar now to like the topography, and what you see is almost one-to-one to real life, as far as like the terrain and all that stuff. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Turn around completely. That's crazy. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch to our localizer. So now we can see how far away. Oh, I know why it's not working. I forgot to turn the radios on. Video killed the radio stuff. We forgot to turn on the radios. Yeah, sorry, I'm feeling rather musical right now. It is currently 2 o'clock in the morning here in the Cayman Islands, and I'm doing this video tutorial on behalf of my friend Chris, who recently purchased the aircraft and has realized what a learning curve it is. It is a lot to learn, but very easy to tame, and it is absolutely gorgeous for manual flying. You want to line up. I should have teardropped instead of whatever I'm doing now. See, there's a reason why we have all of these regulations and stuff in the first place, because imagine if you were a passenger on this flight right now, and I even forgot to turn on. Oh my god! All right, and I forgot to. There we go. They're gonna be pressured up right now. This might be a go around. We're 4 miles out and we're still not established. Oh well. And I would recommend pulling your landing gear out at come on. Oh yeah, that's right. I can just do this. We have a speed break.
2500.
How is the gear still? What is going on?
Flaps 11.
Yeah, see, the gear takes a really long time to come down in this plane. There's no reason why I should still be getting the no gear warning. We're gonna barely manage this one. Let's do a flaps 42.
Flaps 25.
I can't believe we're getting 75 FPS on approach. I will say that 2020 did a much better job at, or 2024
Block
definitely
42.
can leverage in more cores. I would say though, with the manual control of these engines on approach, I bet it sounds amazing in the cab, like to hear those engines coming and going. Power. I can't believe we're doing this illegal ass landing. Alright. Let's arm this. See if I can get it on there. This is like a Tom Cruise movie.
1,000.
Come through, please take your seats one.
Cabin is
secured for
secure.
arrival.
Alright, come on. Still to the left. Still to the left. Still to the left. Alright. Now we're a little bit better on me. Show me the money. Alright. So spoilers are there. Always use your spoilers because this thing has a tendency to bounce even for the
500.
most stable of
Flight
landings.
slope. Pull up.
The
Pull
lift,
up. Flight
the
flight
lift,
slope.
the lift
Pull up.
dampeners
Pull
are,
up. Flight.
or sorry, the
Pull
lift
up.
dumpers
Flight.
are
Pull up.
incredible.
Flights. Pull up. Flights.
Alright, now let's get back on track. Oh, no, we're too high. Good thing this is a long ass run.
100 feet to minimum.
This is such a bad landing. I'm like fighting every muscle to go around. But for the purpose of the video, we're gonna keep it short. And speed brakes out for
30.
this.
20.
That way we can just float her on down the
10.
runway. Ba-boom. Yeah, now this is gonna probably go down as the worst landing ever done in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but you get the point. Alright? This video is especially for you, Chris, but I'm uploading it on YouTube in hopes that it helps somebody else out. Maybe I can build a small following. Wow, 70 FPS on the ground. This is incredible. For those of you who are curious, this computer is I built it myself. It is a AMD Ryzen 7 7800X 3D. Has 64 gigabytes of memory. AMD Radeon 7900 XT. It's a 20 gigabyte card. It's a last generation card from them now, as the 9070 just came out. But still, by all intents and purposes, it's a fantastic card for Microsoft Flight Simulator. We do have a 9070 here that we've played with a little bit. It's going to be coming up in some of my hardware comparison videos. I do have a pretty ambitious project I'm working on that is based around the overclocking your memory for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Because if you have an X3D chip or not on Zen, it is so important to have proper memory timings and everything synced up one-to-one with each other, because cache misses on like your L3 cache on your CPU, for some reason on AMD CPUs they come at a massive performance penalty when you have a cache miss, which, you know, it is rare when that happens, but it does happen quite a bit in this game. You know, I'll go ahead and say goodbye to you guys now. Once again, this is Flight Sim for All. You guys can call me Steve for short. Your friendly neighborhood A320 pilot. I appreciate you guys flying with me this evening. I know you had your choice of many YouTube creators you could have gotten this lesson from, but it's you know, an honor to make this video for you. And Chris, I hope this video provides all the information you need. You always got me on Discord and my cell phone number. But guys, this is fun, and you know, I do apologize once again for the crude style of video with just doing a live stream and titling it like a video, but this is the easiest way to crank out content, and you know, I'm hoping I can provide enough information to help you guys do what you need. Like I said, if you guys, I'm literally willing to go any route with this channel. If you want, I can do. Boom. If you go on, I can do, you know, how to, you know, procedures. I could do like day one flight school type stuff. I can do literally whatever you guys want. You know, I also still have 2020 and X-Plane 11 and 12 installed. I'm willing to make content on those as well. But I do I do want to focus around the hardware side for Flight Simulator. Because it's such a demanding game, and you know, it can run really well on pretty much anything built in the last 4 years, and even beyond that. And I want to explore all of it. You know, I've purchased quite a lot of hardware at the end of last year and the beginning of this year. I have tons of legacy components that you know, are very much still in use on the Steam hardware survey. And we can see what some configurations and just how low and how fast can we go. Once again, this Flight Sim for All. They can call me Steve for short. And you guys have a wonderful day, evening, afternoon, or night.